Welcome, everybody, to the Boat Dealer Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Sellhorst, the founder of Boat Dealer Profits and Boat Dealer Profits Marketing Agency, where we're committed to helping you sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. I just got back from a trip to Germany for a dealer meeting. Spoke to about 200 folks at a dealer meeting there, a small town in northeast Germany, right up on the Baltic Sea. It was a beautiful area, and it was a beautiful setting, and a bunch of great dealers. So I really had a great time with that. One of the things I talked about was a number that I've talked about in the past, but 42 and 58. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is the dealers that are working with me this season, almost all of them are having fantastic years. They are, I should say this, the ones that have implemented are having fantastic years. The ones that are a little slow to implement and are kind of focused on the wrong things, that I've always got to call back and get back on the coaching calls and get them headed in the right direction. Some of them are struggling, but not as much as they would be without what we're doing together. Um, but as I talk to other dealers and hear other information from around the country, from manufacturer reps, from dealers, from others in the industry, um, some CEOs of some manufacturers, I'm hearing that, hey, you know what? The weather, the late start to the season, the all the rain in certain parts of the country. Nebraska, where I'm from, I visited there and saw some of the flooded areas that came, and it was devastating in some areas, and it's really difficult in this market with the weather, with nature having such a big impact. I thought I would talk about how to finish 2019 strong, regardless of where you're at, whether you're having a great season and things are really falling into place, or if you're somebody that is, man, we are way off. We've got way too much inventory. The market is real soft. Our turns haven't been where we need them to be, and we're going into Labor Day way heavier on inventory than we're comfortable with, and we need to move some of this, the major units, and we need to get on track so we can go into the fall in a good position and bring on the right level of inventory for 2020, and make sure that if this is the dip, if this is the next slowdown that's coming, that we're positioned to not slow down as much as everybody else. There's an interesting number in addition to the 4258, and if you don't know what that is, I'll give that to you here in just a little bit. But Boats Group did some research where these numbers came from. And what Boats Group, the Boat Trader, Yacht World, Boats.com, what they did is they looked back at a 3-year history of their leads. And the first question they asked, did our leads turn into effective sales? So how many of our leads went from lead to actually buying a boat? What they discovered, it was 16.2% actually bought a boat from their leads. Well, the reason they did that was it was a marketing effort. We've increased our leads, are getting better. More of them are buying. And it was a marketing pitch, which is very smart for them to do. But with that number, the one that jumped out at me is 83.8% are not buying. And that gets my mind working in a little bit different way. It is, wait a second, if over 80% of the prospects are not buying, even if we're expecting a slowdown, what if you were to figure out why some of those people weren't buying and get them to buy from you? So not only can you take a bigger piece of the deals that are closing in the first 90 days, the 42%, but take a bigger piece of the 58%, the deals that are closing from 90 days to 3 years out. But in addition, what if you looked at, what about all those people that are never buying a boat? They're just not buying. Well, that then opens up a huge opportunity. And I can tell you, my opinion on why some of those people aren't buying. And number one is fear. They're scared that they're going to make a bad decision. They would love to buy a boat. They have the financial capability to buy a boat. A boat would be a great fit in their lifestyle, and they still don't do it. Why? Because of fear. And that fear, the fear of the unknown, the fear of not knowing how to buy a boat, the fear of buying the wrong boat, the fear of getting made fun of by their friends and family. There is all sorts of fear that plays into it. So as we look at finishing 2019 strong, we need to think about what can we do about that fear? What can we do about that 42%, the people that buy a boat that buy within the first 90 days, and the 58%, the people that buy from 91 days to 3 years out, and there's probably it goes even further than that. So, I want to give you some very specific ideas. I want to give you something that's going to make an impact. And you may say, "Well, Matt, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this when you've got paying customers that are competing?" Well, here's the reason why. Is because I know if you're listening to this podcast, if you've been listening for a while, if you've been reading my boating industry magazine articles for the last several years, if you've been following me since my first book back, oh shoot, 2000, I don't even know when it was published, 2013, maybe 2014, maybe 2013, I believe. So if you've been following me for 6, 7 years, maybe even 2012, now that I think about it, if you've been following me for that many years, it's time for you to say, you know what? This guy knows what he's talking about. And not only does he know what he's talking about, but we need to position ourselves to avoid the slowdown that may be coming from some accounts, not all. Like I said, most of my dealers are doing extremely well. The dealers that are implementing are having good, strong seasons and are positioning themselves for better seasons to come. Now, here's where I want to go. When you look at the best way to finish strong in a short period of time, you have to take very specific action that's going to get short-term results. The best way to position yourself for long-term success is to take actions that may not deliver fruit right now, but that are going to position you to deliver fruit next year, the year after, and the year after. So when I talked in Germany, I framed it in this way: when's the best way? When's the best time to plant an oak tree for shade? Well, yeah, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, but long in the past. That would be the best time to plant an oak tree so that you had shade today. But what's the second best time to plant that oak tree? Well, today. If it's not planted and you want shade, you've got to take the time, you've got to plant it today so that you can have shade down the line. There's no immediate solution. Now, the one kind of twist on that is if you can get a tree that's already partially developed that you can replant and then nurture and make sure the roots take, you might be able to speed up that process. And that's exactly what the splash system is all about. This isn't a commercial for the splash system, but I want to put that out there because there are so many dealers that have been following me for year after year after year that are saying, you know what? We'll just take everything that he's given. He's delivering so much value. But what would happen if we actually work together on a consistent basis? If you went through the process that I've developed for top-notch dealers and dealers that want to become top-notch, and we implemented that in your dealership in a very simple and step-by-step way. It's kind of like a paint by numbers. Do this, do that, and then in the end, you're going to get results. And the dealers that follow that have great success. Those are the ones that I really enjoy working with. So let's move on. Let's get to the good stuff. So here's how you do it. Here's how to finish strong in 2019. And we use all of the numbers that I've just talked about to your advantage. We know that for the leads that come in via Boats Group, the reason I use those numbers, it's the only numbers I have. 16.2% buy. Of those 16.2% that buy, 42% buy within the first 90 days, right? We know that, we've talked about it before. 58% buy from 90 days to 3 years out. So the majority of those people buy after 90 days. So what that tells me is one of the biggest opportunities to make sales late in the season is to go back to the leads that you've generated this year at the boat shows in the spring, go back to previous years, because a portion of those people are going to buy. Now, how do you go back to them? Well, you use the communication channels that are open to you. You pick up the phone and you make phone calls. So if you're struggling, if you're off this season, your numbers are off, your inventory is too high, then the recommendation would be to schedule a couple nights a week and have your sales team get on the phone. Call those old leads that you have phone numbers on. Now, you can do it smarter. You can do it smarter by calling the ones that are most likely, calling the local ones. If you have a scoring system in your CRM, if you're able to keep track of who's going to your website, who's engaging with your inventory, call the most likely first, but get on the phone and call. It's the most personal. It's also the most inefficient, but it's the most personal and often the most effective. The second thing is text them. If you have a relationship where you can text them, texts are open 97% of the time within the first 10 minutes. Compare that to email. Email is open about 20% of the time. Well, text message is going to get through. You can't get your message across unless your message gets through. So sometimes text message is the right way to go. You have to understand that if your relationship isn't of the nature that you can use a text, you got to be cautious of that. But that's why it's important to make sure you get cell phone numbers and you ask the question, hey, do you text? Once they say yes, then it opens up the opportunity to text with them, okay? The third is email. Even though email has a 20% open rate, you can boost that up with a good subject line. You can boost that up by doing the right things to make sure your emails don't get caught by the spam filters and they actually get through to the inbox and they show up in the inbox. The more personalized the message, the more text the message has versus images, the more likely you're going to get through. And then the key. Here's the key to phone calls, text messages, and emails is you've got to have the right message. Now, when I was in Germany talking, usually when I'm talking, I do this little game. I hold up two pieces of paper, and the two pieces of paper I talk about have the same color ink. They're printed on the same paper. They're printed by the same government. They're the same size. They have the same security features. And then I ask somebody in the audience to choose which piece of paper they would like. And every single time I've done it, there's a $1 bill, which is just a piece of paper, and a $100 bill, which is just a piece of paper. I ask them to choose, which one would you like? Every time they choose the $100 bill, I give them the $100 bill, and they're blown away. But the same opportunity to build value you have when it comes to emails, text message, and phone calls. Why? Because the piece of paper is just the delivery mechanism. It's the message on that paper that has the impact that determines do you get good results. The reason nobody's ever taken that $1 piece of paper is because it has a $1 message on it. The $100 bill has a $100 message on it. Now, when you pick up the phone, the words that come out of your mouth, you can say $1 words, which are just, you wing it and you say, hey, this is Matt from Matt's Marine. Are you ready to buy a boat today? We got a sale going on. Do you want to buy a boat? Well, that's a $1 message. But when you plan, when you craft and you orchestrate the right message with the right steps afterwards, you can increase your odds of getting a positive result. So take those $1 messages that you're sending in a text, in an email, in a phone call, and turn them into $100 messages. Now, that doesn't mean they need to be more complicated. They need to be um, longer. They need to be something major. They just need to be a better message to get the results that you want. So, what's the message before you pick up the phone, before you bring in pizza and have your sales staff and maybe some other people that have the skills to get on the phone, and you start making phone calls, you start blasting out an email, say, "Oh, we got leftover inventory. We're in a bad spot to go into late July, early August." What we need to do is we need to send an email blast, and then you just quickly whip something together and you blast it out to them. That is likely closer to a $1 message than a $100 message. But if you take the time, if you think about the situation, if you think about strategy, which, oh, by the way, we've done in the Splash system, and we've got some great, very specific strategies to do this, some templates, some messages already created that are just then customized for you. Well, if you take the time, you can do the same thing. It just takes time. It's just like I said, planting the oak tree. You can either plant the acorn and wait 20 years for that acorn to pop up, or you can take a tree that's, an adolescent tree that's well on its way and water it and nurture it, and then you've got shade very, very quickly, much quicker than if you do it from the ground up. That's what the splash system is all about. But when you take the time and you deliver your message very clearly, very concisely, very strategically, you can get some amazing results. So let's talk about one message that you could use. This is a fantastic message when you need to move inventory. One of the best ways to do that is to create $100 messages around an event. Now, this event could be an in-water boat show. It could be a parking lot boat show off-site. It could be an event at the dealership. It could be a demo days. It could be a surf day. It could be a number of events. But the idea is you have a set period of time where you're going to do something very specific, very strategic to get people in to look at the boats you have to offer. You're going to have a very specific, a very clear $100 message on why they should buy today. That may be discounts, that may be incentives, that may be premiums, which are gifts with purchase. Depending on what type of boats you sell, depending on what your market is, who's buying your boats, is going to determine on which messaging makes the most sense. But you have to come up with a solid message, and it can't just be, all right, we're going to do an event and we're going to put our banners out and our signs out. We're going to put flags out, and we're going to spend a lot of time and effort getting the boats ready, and we're going to do all of this work for the event, and you don't send out but 2 emails, and those emails are closer to $1 messages. If you're going to do an event, you can follow the system that we have in the Splash system, which is you use phone calls, you use text messages, you use $100 emails that we've already crafted, social media posts, you do retargeting and remarketing to leads that you already have and to people that have visited your site that you don't even know exist. You have no other way to invite them to your event but to use some of the strategies that we teach. Retargeting and remarketing is a specific name. Signage on the roads. Yes, those signs, if you're in the right market area, can certainly bring in a prospective buyer, and you need to put those roadsides. And then other viable options for marketing in your area. Every market that we've ever worked has some unique opportunities that make sense. I have one dealer that they're the only dealer that uses this tactic that I've ever heard of in my life. It's for years it's been one of their best ones. It's one that they're shifting out of, but it's an opportunity that virtually nobody else I've ever met even has. But it works extremely well for them. So you've got to understand what local sources you may have that make sense and take advantage of them. But don't take advantage of them just by using them. It's a combination of media, the method that you deliver your message, the message, what you actually say that have to be $100 messages or close to $100 messages versus $1 messages, and the marketplace. Who are you actually talking to? And is that message going to resonate with them? Is that media going to reach them? And now you have a successful platform. Other people that you need to go to, which are your perfect market, likely if you operate your dealership in a strategic manner, your service clients, your storage clients are likely buyers for the products that you have on the new side or the used side or the consignment side. Okay? So, as I said, by some accounts the market is softening. By some accounts people are saying, "Uh-oh, this may be the dip." How deep is that dip going to be? We know it's coming. We've been in the industry long enough to know that it's ups and downs and ups and downs. And at some point, there's going to be a down. We've been on a very long uptick. That's been great. A lot of dealers have been more successful, selling more boats and riding that wave up. But we know that wave's going to come down. But remember, it's coming down as for the industry as a whole. You have two opportunities to stave that off for your income, for your dealership. And number one is to take a larger piece of the pie. So if your market share is sitting at 10%, well, you've got a larger piece of the pie that you can sell. If the type of boats you sell are moving in your market area, why are you not getting a larger share of them? And you can't answer, well, I don't have the right brands. If we had the brands that they do, we would be doing better. And the reason I know that is because in almost every case, there's a dealer that has your brand that has the major market share in their market area. So you can't tell me it's because I don't have the right brand. Oh, well, this brand can't compete with that brand. If we could just get that brand, we could grow. No, because there's somebody that carries your brand that's dominating a market area. So it has nothing to do with the brand. It has to do with the messages, the way you're promoting that brand, the way you're promoting your dealership, the way you're marketing your business, the way your sales team is interacting. That is the opportunity to raise your market share. You got to focus on that. And you can certainly do it because there's other dealers that have done the same thing. Number two, and I believe for many dealers, this is the opportunity that could just totally change the game for them. And that is, what about those 83.8% of people that are not buying, that submit a lead but aren't buying? Over 80% of people aren't buying. And we talked about the fear. They're not buying because they're scared. They're not buying because they don't know how. They're not buying because they went to a boat show and they got so damn confused that they threw their hands up in the air and said, "My friends are right. I don't want to buy a boat. I'm not going to use it. How am I going to buy the right boat?" Everybody's saying the exact same thing. Everybody's saying they have the best boat. Everybody's saying this is the best boat for me. Everybody's just dumping why their boat's the best. Oh, we have this warranty. We use this fiberglass. We use this stainless steel. We do this build process. We have this. We have that option. We have this benefit. And nobody's taken the time to walk them through the splash sales system to make sure you take them through the research phase, the evaluator phase, and handle them properly in the now buyer phase, because nobody's talking to researchers and evaluators in their marketing messages. So many people are dropping off the educational spectrum of a boat buyer, and they're not buying a boat, but they would. They would if somebody just talked to them the way they need to be talked to. Not all of them. I'm not crazy, but certainly more than 80% of them that don't buy, there's a big chunk of those people that would buy a boat from you if you just handled them the right way, if you had the right tools, and you didn't look at everybody that walked in as, we've got to sell them today. You say, hey, we've got to sell the ones today that want to be sold today, that could be sold today, but we've got to nurture the ones that aren't quite ready, put them in a 24/7 boat selling machine, give them $100 messages over the long period of time, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Remember that 58% that buys from 90 days to 3 years out? And we all have people that have been over 3 years, 4 years. I have 4.5 is the longest one I had. There are people that would buy your product that aren't buying a boat today because they get confused, they get overwhelmed, they get scared, they get talked out of it by a friend because nobody followed up with them after the first couple of weeks. They decided to get an RV, they decided to get into horses, they bought a beach house, they bought they bought some motorcycles, they bought some other fun money activity, and we lost the chance to sell them a boat. Not because they wouldn't have bought, but because they weren't talked to with $100 messages the way they wanted to. So for right now, go down the event path. That's your short term. Let's get the most out of what we can this year. But the long term is we've got to build those $100 messages. We've got to create that 24/7 boat selling machine. We have to understand the educational spectrum of the boat buyer and the way technology and consumers have changed in the last 5 to 7 years, and how that changes the way we need to communicate with them, how that changes the way what we need to have on our website, the technology we need to have on our website, the messages we need to have on our website, the tools we need to utilize, all of the things that would have been great if we'd done them 5, 10 years ago. And that oak tree was now big and just plentiful with shade, plentiful with sales. But guess what? Maybe you didn't do it. Likely you didn't do it because most dealers I talked with haven't done it completely or haven't done it at all, and it's always been a yeah, we need to improve our website. We need to do, that 24/7 boat selling machine. We've talked about doing something similar. We just never got around to it. Now's the time, because if we're in this downward cycle, you can go down with everybody else, or you can take action that's going to keep you at a good level, a higher level than would you be if you didn't take action. And maybe if this is a small dip, maybe even increase while everybody else is decreasing. There's no reason why you can't. There's no reason why you can't put these things in place, make the pie bigger, and take a bigger piece of that pie. If you're willing to do that, there's a couple things you can do. You can go get my free report, 11 Ways to Sell More Boats Now and Forever. That's at boatdealerprofits.com/11 ways. If you're interested in speaking with me, you can take advantage of, I do a profit maximizer strategy session where we dive into your business. We do a deep dive into your business. We talk about what opportunities are available. We talk about how the splash system could be a good fit. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're the type of dealer, well, this isn't a good opportunity for you. I don't know. But we'll get on the phone. We'll have a conversation. We'll determine if there's wins that we can make for you, if there's profit being left on the table that we can take advantage of, if there's opportunity. And if there is, maybe we partner together on it. Maybe we don't. I don't know. Either way, that conversation is going to be incredibly valuable. I've done hundreds of them. And every time, whether we end up working together or not, they find tremendous value. And that's ultimately what the Profit Maximizer Strategy Session is all about. Likely we'll work together if it makes sense. If it doesn't, you're still going to get tremendous value. The Profit Maximizer Strategy Session, just go to boatdealerprofits.com/profit maximizer. And from there, you'll fill out a few simple questions so that we can have the most productive conversation. You can schedule it right on my automated calendar. You can schedule it there, and it'll book it. It'll set up reminders for you, and we will get on the phone with owners, general managers, sales managers, have a valuable conversation, and make sure that 2020, regardless of what the industry does, but 2020 is an outstanding year. And if we start soon enough, make sure that we get the most out of 2019, because there are certainly some quick strategies that we can do to make the most out of this year and put yourself in a position to have a great 2020 and beyond. So I look forward to talking to you there. The report, boatdealerprofits.com/11 ways. That's free. If you want to get on the phone with me and have a valuable strategy session, that Profit Maximizer Strategy Session is at boatdealerprofits.com/profit maximizer. Thank you very much. We will talk to you next time. This is Matt Sellhorst, Boat Dealer Profits Marketing Agency, where we're committed to helping family-owned dealerships that are motivated to sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. Take care.